podcast listeners, if you hear my voice right now, I need you to do something for me. I want you to take out your phone or on your computer, go to Apple Podcasts, search for Ask Your Oldhead podcast. You'll see my logo, my little picture, my little image there. Find the show. Please rate and write a review. It's a small thing, but it helps others find this work and find what I'm doing here. And it really, really matters, as small as that may seem. So if you could please do that before we get into the show, I would much appreciate it. Thank you for listening. Let's get into it. Peace. Peace. I'm Majestic.
My brother, Justice Rajee.
So here we are. And I wanted to add on with you today about a couple things, but centered in sort of this, well, not sort of, like absolutely in this Ralph Lauren, Polo Ralph Lauren, Oak Bluffs. I guess we call it a campaign or a line. Is it a line?
Yeah, I would say it's a campaign.
It's a campaign, right? And it's a I guess a build on, because there was another piece that was like around like Morehouse and Spelman, but this is sort of like a continuation of that, I think, in some degree, like tying in the kind of summer recreating of Oak Bluffs, which for those who don't know is a community in Martha's Vineyard, historically black space in Martha's Vineyard. Even actually back, when you have to get deep into the history of it, like with the whaling and black folks and whaling, a space of land ownership and actual affluence and relative, as I always like to think, relative affluence. But the overall piece of it, I thought was a very interesting moment, and especially what we're having happen in the country, in a full on, so I say it, this case anybody, full on assault on black people, and especially on sort of, I guess what we would usually frame as like middle class, upper middle class earning black folks, although assault on black, like, not that it's sparing poor folks or folks who are not doing as well economically. Some of these impacts, I think we have, black women experience a 30% cut. Was it? Did I get that number right in unemployment?
Yeah.
Right down.
And some very big number.
Yeah, it's a big number. It's a big ass number for anyone, right? And the amount of things where we have, potentially a total defanging of the Voting Rights Act. And this all just basically open assault on black folks. And, at the same time, you have this line in this campaign come out. There's a lot there that I think is important for folks, especially for black folks, to think about, and other people too, but for us to think about, contextualize, and we've had, I think we may have had a conversation last summer about, I myself, I think I might have maybe had went to I don't think I ever went to Martha's Vineyard. I think I might have maybe had went as a baby once, but then I don't think that's what happened. like we got a bag. Somebody else went to Martha's Vineyard. We had a bag, like a
right. All I got was a lousy bag.
With one of them, tote bags. They had like Martha's Vineyard on there. Like, I don't think I went to Martha's Vineyard. I'm pretty sure. But I'm down to come. You know what I'm saying? If somebody what a host was, your brother, my partner, she probably want to go with me. She probably don't want me to go to Martha's Vineyard by myself. Just, But anyway, we'll get to that part later. All right. So I guess let me do first thing. I guess let me open up there. I had it up here, and now I gotta see where I put it. I'll make sure I got where it's a paragraph with the creative. So there's a director, there's a short doc. Let's see, Cole Brown. So some of this was developed in partnership with director, producer Cole Brown. photographed by Nadine and Jerry. I might have said that wrong. What's the? I'm trying to remember the creative director is his brother from
Yeah,
from.
he went
Morehouse.
to. I think he went to Morehouse
I'm looking at this press
and started really, really low in the Ralph Lauren hood.
like, yeah, like why is it look like it's not in this press release? But I know I'll find his name. Anywho, I guess we'll get all the vital statistics before we end this conversation. But I wanted to get, I guess let's just start off. What was some of your first some thoughts came to your mind doing the knowledge to this situation here?
Yeah, it's real complex for me because it speaks to something you said before we got on. If we wasn't in something, there's a segment of the barbershop and the beauty salon that would say they would continue to practice erasure. And then talking about like large companies. If they engage in talking about us, then it's taking it from us. We got to figure out, and now both of those things could be happening at the same time. Or at some point, we got to start figuring out not what do we all want, because they never been what we all want. Is there a space between engaging large systems in our own way? So that's one. I think it's important to know, in my estimation, it was executed beautifully.
Yeah.
Talking about a real American experience. As you said earlier, Black folks creating protective spaces for themselves and having it as a way to come together. Wasn't the only one. Now, I'm going to get to that in a second. Here's the other part. Our class conversation. It's really interesting to want to talk about Black folk being free from poverty, but then having a problem when they get affluence and go do something with other people like them that are affluent. Which one? Like, and now remember, a lot of Black folks during these times, maybe less now, lived in multi-class Black neighborhoods. So this wasn't the type of thing where you could really get so far away from Black folks. You still lived in Harlem. You still lived in Bronzeville. You still lived in Roxbury. You still lived in South Philadelphia. You still lived on U Street. This is just where you went to vacation with other people who had a similar background like you. Where this became a thing that to talk about that is a bad thing. I understand that the class struggle that we have, but it's a lot to that. If you were going to Morehouse or Hampton or Spelman in the 30s or 40s, yes, there was a class distinction. Yes, this wasn't Tuskegee. And even that, we still got to unwrap some of the class in that. So the HBCU conversation that we know today is different than the HBCU conversation that we had 70, 80 years ago. And to not acknowledge that is ahistorical.
Yeah.
There's millions of people who are part of the Divine Nine, as it is called. You only get in when you went to college.
Yeah.
Before the widespread, socialization and democratization of college for Black folks, even being in college was a class distinction. Choosing one of those organizations was a class distinction. So the idea that we continue to perpetuate this class warfare, not with any resolution, just you don't like it because you're mad because they was vacationing, it's lost to me. One other piece I'll say is you and I both know this. You also have vacation spaces in other places, like the Hamptons for Black folks,
Yeah.
with Atlantic Beach.
Yeah, Atlantic Beach.
There's one right outside in Michigan for folks from Chicago.
Idlewild. Was it Idlewild?
Idlewild.
Mm-hmm.
And even thinking about Atlantic City. And you had the Black part of the beach. So for everybody who thinks that Black folks were just going to all parts of Atlantic City, that wasn't happening.
Yeah, that wasn't what it was.
And so you always had places where Black people vacation together.
Yeah.
So this story about the class distinction is just ahistorical. Yeah.
It strikes me, I mean, and at some point we get to like the clothes and stuff, but I think that the overall context is when we get into telling the story of Black folks, right? And we have remarked in the past on the kind of I think about it almost sometimes like discrediting of a positive experience, and positive by doing a lot of exercise in that word. I'm saying a telling of the stories of what's happening with Black folks, where when you take a look at the Black folks, they're not like at every moment in like pressured fear of their lives and like we're all downtrodden and sad and we're gonna go make a sad bowl of gumbo over here or something. You know what I'm saying? A sad bowl of gumbo. Right? Like are we gonna grill some sad ribs or chicken or something, and like everybody's like kind of happy for 20 minutes, but not really. Right. And it's like I don't know who the audience that's for, like that particular story, or if there's this like subtext undercurrent fear that like the oppression and the structural racism that we continue to roll and rock and roll with is somehow lessened if it looks like, man, but it looks like they having fun in that picture. They look like they having a blast at that family reunion. So how could it have been racist? Right? Like is that somehow a part of folks' construction, when they see something like this? And it's, families, and I'm just watching they made it it's like a little 20-minute, 24-minute short doc. I'm going to put a link with the notes for this episode. And they talking to some of the families and, some folks and sharing family pictures that I will say, I got some pictures at the beach, you know what I'm saying, with people when I was a little kid. And, I was happy. I was also in the burden of Reaganomics. Both things are true.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like it I don't know if it's, then we get into the very simplified, colorism conversation, which is a very real thing. Colorism's absolutely real and it's complex though. It's instead of a conversation about the class things that we wrestle with, it almost is like you gotta have some sort of, or at least there's a space for folks getting to a bit of like I think an unfair judgment of folks and their circumstances, especially in light of some of even the things, and when you watch this little doc about it, like in this case, folks buying a second home, right? Which I would wager to folks to, yes, it's a whole building. Also, vacation places in the context that we may think of them now in the full bloom of hyper, consumer culture where you can go somewhere and it's like,
It's just you.
yeah, sometimes it's just a house. I'll tell you this,
Right.
but put it like this: the Oregon coast is a lovely place. There's some lovely, beautiful towns you can go rent like a house and hang out. And some of the houses are very modern and fancy, and some of the houses are not so much.
Right, there's the thing.
So the houses is dark and hey, it's at the coast. It's like, yeah, it ain't it's nice to be at the coast if you can go have a week off or whatever, but it ain't like, oh, look at the palatial walls and the I mean, anyway, and even within that, some of that is a working person, and maybe even a upper, maybe they were, a doctor or, owned a business or company, could afford to have this, or the family, they could send the grandma and the wife and kids, could go, but maybe, maybe the husband or whoever, like, yeah, I gotta stay down here at the plant or whatever the hell they doing.
Right.
Saying, but I'm gonna come up, after the 4th of July. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna come up and be there for a couple months. Anyway, the thing that I thought is like, it's weird to have, and not that every conversation I've seen about it, but every Black kind of media presence of some sort that I've been able to at least try to hustle and get listen a couple clips, seemed committed to have to like dive into this, like, oh, they wanted to be away from the rest of us Negroes kind of energy. Or at least, and then I don't know, again, I don't know if that's a feeling of like you couldn't just be like, yo, it's kind of fly. It's a fly story. There's a young cat, going to get into that world, worked his way up through through the entity, and then has had this opportunity to again tell a story that's rooted in actual history. It's not a myth. There's no like aspirational idea of people having a place where they went and fighting to make a space for respite, which is everybody's jam right now. Everybody's jam. So they
Kinda though. It ain't really their jam. It's an intellectual idea. Like, Black folks figuring out a place to go vacation was like real respite because it was racism. You could get killed trying to get there.
right. It was a fight to get to that shit.
It's a fight. I mean, we looked at Green Book. It's a fight to go see your family. It's a fight to go to a beach. That was real respite.
Yeah.
Not these intellectual respite shit. We talk about joy. Black folks that had some money went and was and engaging in joy with their families. Now, guess what? It was poor folks who were also engaging in joy with their families, wherever they were.
Yeah.
And the underpinning of this is like, do we act like many of the race men and women were not well-to-do? Because that's also ahistorical.
Yippers.
W.B. Du Bois wasn't broke.
He was not struggling.
I would just leave that there for y'all. He was, if you see Superfine, he was getting stuff sent from England. Does that make Du Bois less of a race man? So that's where I think it's a whole bunch of other stuff wrapped up in this.
Yeah.
Beyond just the pictures. It's looking at reality not from the lens that it existed. One more piece that I'll say about this. Ralph Lauren or Ralph Lishit pioneered the idea of the landed gentry. He sold it to us over and over again. Black folks been wearing it because of a connection to an aspiration. Low life stole it because of a connection to aspiration.
Still a lot of it too.
A lot of it. And many of us who like polo were affected either by those who were wearing it to represent their aspiration or those who stole it in their aspiration. Why would we not tell the story of an actual Black community and communities that functioned in that way? Only to fit a narrative of today of narrow nationalism and being ahistorical about our class struggle. That's where the bigger challenge comes in to me. I also, at this point, want to give a shout out to Actively Black, the company who you may have seen it. They were like talking about why did people support this, but not support them, but not a negative way. Just bringing it to bear that they were also doing these kind of things. And also BK Circus, or Brooklyn Circus, who has been presenting this energy for over 20 years. And my point about that is, like, it doesn't have to be either or. Because if you want this attention, it's going to be both and. We're going to have independent companies that do it, as well as being acknowledged in the mainstream. I'll stop with this. There's a movement afoot to boycott Target because of some of the decisions they made. As a juxtaposition, you have a global company that is respecting and honoring an authentic form of Black culture. And we don't like that neither. We have to wrestle with that, as you would say.
Yeah. I mean, because it gets down to me with something like this, right? And it's our value system, like we say, we take, actually say it at least in the notes every time, but we talk about, take the best part for yourself, man. Like, if you feel compelled because you're looking at it that you need to, we need to elevate the class distinction, and everyone doesn't have the means to have this particular lifestyle. Like, like we know what it means if somebody says, especially, I mean, if you in the Black, I think if you in the Black community, you know what it means. Somebody says, yeah, they go on to Martha's Vineyard for a vacation. They on paper, or they at least acting like they on paper. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the two. Like it's a thing that a lot of folks know. And it also, like any other vacation, though, right? Any other vacation spot, it's like, I've never, people I've never been to, Tulum or like whatever, and I'm gonna save up and I'm gonna go do that for my vacation. I want to have a general conversation about vacations, and I recognize my very strained relationship with them. But I want to stay on this beat about clothing brands, clothes in a broader sense, right? As this representative vehicle, right? And that in our current, we have this fight that we're having.
and we've been having it for the last, really, I would say since Obama got elected. I want to say almost. Not that we didn't have a larger fight before, but the to me it was a part of the early part of the Black Lives Matter movement with Ferguson and Trayvon Martin, and and this happening like with the backdrop of Obama and the White House, and that that we couldn't escape the idea that there's multiple experiences happening with Black people and Black communities at the same time. Right. And then this sort of, to me, very like some folks structuring, their activism or their organizing or even their view of identity with a harsher lens on anything that could be construed as like bougie Black people, and while simultaneously being like, I'm like, I like people who we would have categorized as bougie, being like, yeah, but then I'd be ratchet, or then like this weird thing we got happening.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, where we're doing this oscillating back and forth, and like one is treated as if it maybe is more authentic than the other, but the other is appealing. It's the whole thing is a little, honestly distasteful for me, and it's a generational thing there too that I recognize that's just a way they showing up that's different. There is a thing that I continue to be very concerned about, is that within it there is a simultaneous, like, we don't want to do no super pro Black back to Africa type energy though with either camp. Like we want to be American. Like we just want to be here. We don't want to. So like the level of that as that would have played out in our younger days, where if you as like when I first locked my hair and we was getting braids the first time way back when and it was like having hair and locks was a clear social statement still in the into the 90s. By the time we get to now, just like, oh, look at the brother with those locks. Like, not that there's no place where a brother with long hair will not maybe have some issues or people questioning, or even some folks that if you ask them, they'd be like, they kind of give you that. My peoples would never really let me rock my hair like that. And I'm a lawyer now, or I do whatever I do, where it would be too much if I wanted to go that route with my life, right? Or I feel I need to inhibit that. So like this sort of, I would consider like cultural nationalism, some of the Afrocentric constructs and things that even while we was, rocking polo and other, various forms of fly clothes, was also like, yo, you might, what I'm saying, come with some, with some kente cloth for, like, what I'm saying, but do something to center my African ness, or at least my Africanness as I construed it, as you understood it at the time. May not have actually, you might have been on shaky ground with some of that stuff. But the point being,
the mythos and ethos, I think, is always present and at its own tension. But I think at least it was actual physical expression. It was less like an intellectual concept. But yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. When you said that, it made me think of like people were trying to figure it out.
Yeah. But like where I was going with that is that, like, I think we're still in this. We're like at this place where I don't think we actually all agree what we're like fighting for, in a sense, and as a detachment between, there's like a criticism of folks being deeply into the academic, temples, so to speak, while also like, well, we do need people in those places. There's a yeah, we need to be about, grassroots organizing, mutual aid, you know what I'm saying? Keep the community, black stay, go to this part, be to this part. But then it's like, also we need to, we know cognitively that some of the spaces where we are most dense and most connected by population and number don't have all the aspects that we would need or we would want optimally for ourselves. Meaning you may not have the groceries or the healthcare facilities or the ability to shape the land in our own image in a way that would be most optimal, right? So we're in a weird place. And again, we're also in a like openly hostile federal government again, like it's the 80s. We got, we have a at least perceived internal gender war that nobody apparently wants to be together or whatever. Like we got all this stuff happening, right? And then we have and it's bubbled up with folks like, I've seen earlier this year folks like, yeah, but our generation don't do the cookouts no more. Our generation don't do these other family gatherings. But then I've also, I do a little internet sleuthing, folks that are still having like family reunions, you know what I'm saying? Or usually a thing that tend to happen towards the end of the summer, right? If not earlier, but usually towards the end of the summer where, right before kids go back to school, you go, folks, if you had a family, oriented that way at least. I did not fully. We had at least one, I think it was one of my grandfather, one of his siblings that we did have one big one that I remember, or at least going to.
That's true, actually. And the process in that,
Yeah.
it was late August. You did that, saw your cousins before everything kicked off for school. Yeah.
Yeah. Then like it'd be like, as I like to call it, the blues days of August. Be like, yeah, man, summer has been great. Oh man, it's about to be have to go back to school. As a although I bet you I got older, there were other benefits of being at school socially that maybe were a little.
Oh, absolutely.
We were younger. Yeah, I mean,
and the music sometimes started dropping right before we went to school.
Yeah,
it was like the end of summer song.
Yeah, you got to wrap this thing up. You know what I mean? Coming through with the jazz.
Yeah.
Like nice footnotes, right? But and so a clothing brand tapping into that energy, the dog days of summer, the simultaneous like joy of like, we on family vacation or we wherever we kicking it, but it's kind of, oh man, you know what, in like a couple, like 2 weeks, it's gonna be back to the grind. It's gonna be people going to, you gotta go to class, your moms and them, they got, if this was they 2 weeks off or a week off, that the only one they took off really the whole year. You know what I'm saying? Like they having fun and enjoying it, and then they're like, yo, I gotta go back and whatever it is I do, even if it makes a lot of money, relatively, right? I'm gonna have to probably go engage some realities that are not necessarily make me happy. And so it's interesting to me, at least that the critique of this making very, to me, strong assumptions about what the work life of folks, even if they, were relative, somehow were making a lot of money, that it was experienced without any of the pains of, of the society that we live in.
Hey,
Yeah.
Hold up. You know what? I've been thinking about this and leaving something out.
Go on with it then.
We debating Ralph Lauren paying tribute and homage to a quintessential black experience, while we at the same time perpetuate black folks having passports and going to locations abroad to spend all kind of money. We talking Tulum, Bali, Punta Cana. Meanwhile, these places where people who look like us are third-class citizens. They got a challenge with a class consciousness issue of Black folks who still lived amongst us. Meanwhile, we in infinity pools in St. Bart.
Trying to eat fruit out of a floating table, which I think is ridiculous thing.
Don't misunderstand me. All of that is cool. Black folks have been traveling and been around the world. We are global citizens.
Yeah.
Killer Mike said you were not the first blank in the Mediterranean. So I'm with all that. But it just hit me, the debate about this, and then we will post on all these sites to be in these privileged places and not the conversation.
Look, I'm crammed to understand, you know what I'm saying, as MC Light said. You know what I mean? Like it's an interesting, is why I think like it's something like we need a meme. We need some sort of like super black, like, yo, y'all, we gotta clear these lines up, man. Like what we beefing about? Like am I allowed to be happy? You know, am I allowed to be happy that my grandfather was an educator at Hampton? Is you know what I mean? But is it all right for me to tell y'all that? Like, is at some point, is it like, well, you know, he didn't do enough at Hampton for something, right? Like, well, Hampton was super snooty. I'm like, yeah, that's what I heard. I heard he didn't really like that part, but you know, what I'm supposed to do about it? That's my grandfather. I got letters from people that were so thankful for how he impacted their kid's life. So I don't know, y'all. Help me understand what the fight is. Like, where are we going? Like, why can't we just go, oh man, that's kind of live, man. Like, we know that Morehouse and Spelman is on some like super duper, like, you know, we special stuff. That's cool. They can do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's some of us be on some other stuff. We could have the multiplicity of blackness. You know what I'm saying? We can see these things, you know, and I guess, like I said, if the critiques are small, it's like, all right, that's cool. But then it's like also like, you know, and you know, with clothes of this nature, you know, stuff that's highly stylized, stuff that some of us ain't never really gonna wear. Some of us also ain't gonna pay some of them prices. I'm just keep it a buck. You know, I'm still a brother with a price range where I go, ooh, not gonna buy that, but it looks nice. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, Judge, you not.
Right.
But there are Black people
Absolutely
who are going to pay it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are Black people who are buying other stuff that had no connection to our experience. And no one's giving back to HBCU. Yeah. Again, shout out to Brooklyn Circus and actively Black.
Yep. And I like Brooklyn. I got some Brooklyn Circus. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could do both. You can get some of that, and you can be like, yo, I like, you know, we get you a little blazer or something from Ralph and them, and then you get, you know what I'm saying, you get some golf slacks from Eastside Golf. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I tried to buy the jacket, but I ain't gonna hold you. I don't know what happened, man. It said my thing went through, and it said my thing ain't go through. I tried it twice.
The linen blazer?
No, the green jaw. That's a peace and love. Oak Bluffs.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I think you're talking about.
Why ain't I gonna wear that? It goes back to your point. Black folks' experiences are about more than pain. Yeah. They're even about more than fighting. Yep. Why are we not allowed the humanity to show ourselves in all ways, even back then? Everybody wants to show themselves in all the way today. Why will we rob the past from its historical context?
Because this
thing that
It doesn't fit in the
Most
narrative.
confusing to me.
Majestic, it doesn't fit in the narrative, man. I'm from the ghetto.
Most of the people that have challenges about this shit ain't from the ghetto either. Let's just be for real.
I gotta remember, I'm the only person that has a fond love for as I blame my mother. She's like, I was fine in the ghetto. That's what my mom likes to say. There was other issues. You know what I'm saying? It's I didn't add all this other how I say fluff that they put on because people use it don't mean what it mean no more to other people. It mean all this other stuff. Yeah, it's frustrating, but also I think it points to something that I think is important. I would like folks to consider. Right, like there are like in the world that we imagine that we want to be in, where we can move, and however that's constructed around us, because there's I think that's why I think we need it. We do need some kind of meeting. There's like that the place that we're gonna go. If we don't have some levels of agreement around what it looks like, I'd be like, look, we ain't never gonna get to that whatever place y'all think we going. And if a part of that is like, oh well, nobody can go to the beach no more with their family for a week, or the travel to family members getting married or something, or the person they getting ready to go start an educational experience, so we're gonna go on a trip with them so they can have some fun for they spend the next 4-5 years trying to become whatever they becoming. Like these sort of benchmarks, I think it's like fantasy land where people act like stuff like this just like gonna go away magically one day in terms of like the transition to some other world. Like it's gonna be we gonna be in a world more like this world for a while, even if it's wild fascist and bugged out. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be, we still gonna be I've studied I've read a lot of history. It ain't a whole lot of like instantly the world changes without like robots or something. Yeah, well, they are working on that AI, so maybe the robots is gonna come just bump us up out of there. That AI. So I'm about to talk. Let's start talking about it.
Said beautifully by black folks, like that over there.
Yeah.
That AI they got.
So
yeah, no, I think it does show, like many things we discussed, a broader, big question of where do we go from here. I think the Black Lives Matter to its feverish pitch in 2020, the mainstreaming, if you will, in subsequent clawbacks. Mm-hmm. Now we're in a space where some people are taking a break, but it's no accident. While people are taking a break, the people that are pressing us are pressing harder.
Mm-hmm. They're going in.
And if anyone thinks it's going to stop, history doesn't show that unless you stop it. Mm-hmm. Anyone also unsolicited perspective. One day I was on the bus, and his sister, who was on the bus, was talking about some competition for work. And she basically was saying, get rid of them all, right? And you know how black folks, we cut our eyes at each other? And like, come on, cut it out. She clearly didn't get the message. But it made me think about, if people are just taking immigrants, does anyone think they're not taking black immigrants, African immigrants? And at what point, if you work somewhere or was doing something and you got caught in a dragnet, You think they just won't send you somewhere before they figure out they made a mistake? And maybe it wasn't a mistake? And put that in the context of President Trump has openly talked about trying to cut deals with other countries for American citizens who commit crimes that he thinks are worthy of being sent to somewhere else.
Yep.
So, in the bigger picture, how we understand ourselves is central to how we understand how we engage in struggle, but also engage in cross I would say like cross class joy. Because going back to my point earlier, just because somebody had more money than you didn't mean that they'll fight for you. Martin Luther King was an alpha at Morehouse in the 40s and 50s. Do you think that meant they was broke? Right?
Right.
So W.B. Du Bois wasn't broke. Neither was Malcolm. Neither was Martin Luther King. Malcolm X probably was broke. But that's because a whole host of other things that happen.
Yeah.
And there is this romanticization of the lumber proletariat that goes with that and the Panthers. And your reference to being ratchet, how people want to be ratchet at times, but then disparage it at other times.
That's right. Yeah, they're not fully committed to that. They want to go in and out of that, which again is strange to me. It's like I'm gonna just be justice.
We know.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? If you don't see the both of all the layers, you know what I'm saying, that are held within, you know what I'm saying? That's on you. That's a failing of your perception. That ain't about me. That's about you. You know what I mean? You thought it was one way, and you might find out it's the other way.
In the words of Marlowe, you wanted to be one way, but it's another way.
That's a high piece right there. Yeah, so I encourage folks to check it out, and also though, and this is because I don't want to lose before it is the early August. It's the dog days of summer. It's the what I'm saying. I've already had the compliment. Well, you going on vacation sometime? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, no, I'm not like going somewhere for a week, which maybe I should, or maybe we should. I don't know, but I don't have. There was a point in my young life as growing up where we stopped kind of like having like, yo, we go on a vacation. And that probably was more economic than anything else. It would just maybe be in there somewhere where my mom would like, yeah, I'm not working the rest of this week, but we ain't going nowhere. Like I'm gonna just go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like we ain't go somewhere. Or like maybe we went to Atlantic City, like still kept days off. We go hung out with my grandfather, with the pops house. You know what I mean? We like sort of vacation, but it was like, yeah, we ain't going, we not taking no trip. So
I think when we go deeper into it, I actually want to interrogate that a bit more, because I do think that's also part of the working class context of where you go like 2 hours away.
Yeah.
45 minutes away.
Like you go, you get there, it ain't too far. You can chill out, but then you gonna come back.
I'm gonna wait and tell my story about brigantine.
Brigantine.
And them damn flies. But I think that's part of it. So once we do that, to kind of talk through the multiple kind of vacation, and that this whole a week has its own origin story.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's, and then, shout out to, so, I don't remember if I did say it again, James Jeter.
Shout out to the World Bank.
Yeah, I mean, he's the creative director that's, brought this all together over there. And, props to him doing something fly. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, people do something fly. Also, before we go, there's a Spike Lee movie coming out that apparently nobody knows about. That apparently sounds like it's going to be really good. So go watch the movie with it.
Friday night.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
old school.
Yeah. Try to check, see if it's where it's going to be screened out here so I could be ready.
That was also a part of Black Joy, but I'll save for next.
Oh, yeah. We should, maybe we could do a whole Black Joy rundown and shit.
Our Black Joy.
Our Black Joy. You know what I'm saying? Me and that's y'all. Stuff we like.
Right on.
Right. So with that, unless you got something else to add, I think we could tie a bow on it for here. And I put some links with the notes for this, you know what I'm saying, folks to check out. Then we'll be back with that on some other topics.
I'm good to go.
All right. So with that, I'm saying peace.
Peace.
Thank you for listening to Good Brothers. Thank you to my good brother, I'm Majestic. I have a confession. So we've had some technical difficulties here at Super Rajee Studios, Ask Your Oldhead Studios, the production world of the one-man audio recording man. And so the last two recordings, if there's seem a little strange, it's because of that's a technical error that your brother somehow either overlooked or missed when the settings were switched. But I think in the future it should be straight. We're gonna find out. I'll tell you. So with that though, you can still support the podcast. You know how to do it. Rate, subscribe, listen, share. Find Justice Rajee on Patreon and become a patron. Go to AskYourOldhead.com. If you go to the shop, there's a new shirt in there for a campaign that I ain't even start doing ads for. But if you, like me, need to understand the weird awareness and the reality of us using the internets, go grab that. The comments are a PSYOP t-shirt and add on to the creative reality that is the Ask Your Oldhead podcast. That is these good brothers. That is every square inch. You know what I'm saying? It's got a name now. The thing you ain't seen yet. And if you've been listening this long, you must really like me and shit. So in any event, man, be safe. Don't stand up with a rowboat. If you run into any federal officers, if you in the DC area, ask them if they know the local civil code. You know what I'm saying? See if they actually have the information to arrest somebody before they run around and violate somebody's civil and human rights. In any event, love and respect, and catch you on the other side. Peace.